Are you or your loved one thinking about getting a corn snake this Christmas, or just in general? Well, I am here to help. This is a compiled list of everything that you will need for your new pet corn snake. Now, I mentioned Christmas because it is coming up soon and some people do go out and get pets for Christmas. Now, I am not fully behind this unless the person that you are getting the animal for knows that this is happening and is fully on board, and it wouldn't matter what time of year it is, you would still go out and get this animal. That's fine and completely understandable. But remember that these animals are a big commitment and they are very expensive. You might find a free corn snake on Facebook Marketplace, but you are about to see that they need a lot of stuff. And on this list, there is stuff that you might not even have thought about buying. The little things, they add up. This video is going to be for a naturalistic setup, so no live plants or anything like that. If you want to go for a bioactive enclosure, I do have plenty of videos on my page of how I set them up, but you'll probably need to buy extra things on top of this, like plant lights and drainage layers, if you wanted to go for a bioactive setup. I've also made this list in two separate sections. So the first section is going to be your standard stuff, and then the second section is stuff that you might forget about or not even think of, or just general extra bits. So let's get right into the video. Starting out with something that is incredibly obvious, but you will need food. I like to feed my corn snakes large mice and then sprinkle in chicks every 3 feedings or so. You don't want to feed an adult anything bigger than a large mouse, because they can very quickly become overweight. You also don't want to feed rats to your corn snake, as they can also contribute to an obese snake, but also because of the amount of fat in them, it can over time lead to a fatty liver, which can shorten the lifespan of your snake. So go out and get yourself some large mice and some chicks. If you're bringing home an adult, that is. For a baby or juvenile, you'll want to go for a different size. Next, you'll need the enclosure, of course. You need something to keep them in. For an adult corn snake, you're going to want to go for a 4x2x2 enclosure. This is in feet, so that's 120 centimeters long, 60 centimeters deep, and 60 centimeters tall. This is the minimum for an adult corn snake. If your corn snake is bigger than 4 foot long, then you might want to go for a 5 or a 6 foot viv. For a baby, you'll want a minimum of 60 centimeters by 45 centimeters. You can't really get a proper heat gradient in anything smaller than that, so I would recommend going for one of the Exoterra vivariums or the Pro Rep ones. Number 3, you'll need a lock for this enclosure. On these vivariums that you see behind me, I use these little wedges, and they wedge between the glass, which means that the snake can't open the doors. For an Exoterra, you probably won't need to buy a lock, as they do already click closed, but if you have young children in the house, you may want to buy something with a padlock or a key. Next, let's talk about your heating within the enclosure. So I like to use overhead heating. Under tank heating or heat mats are very old school now, and there is a lot of research come out that shows that heat mats only produce a certain type of heat that doesn't allow your snake to properly digest its food and get the nutrients that it needs from its food. They also don't produce visible light, which is crucial for a snake's vision. And not just because it's dark. It's more complicated than that. So go out and get yourself a halogen heat bulb. I quite like the Reptile Systems ones, and you're going to fit this into a ceramic bulb holder, not a plastic one. They can melt, with a cage around it if it is inside of an enclosure. If it is outside the enclosure and it's placed on top of mesh, you don't need the cage, you just need a dome, and you place that on top. You'll also need to go out and buy a dimming thermostat, not an on and off stat. I quite like the Habistat ones as they're very simple to use. Next is your lighting. There's a lot of new research come out about why UVB is beneficial to snakes, and I'll go through that in a future video, but just a few things are egg absorption. If you have a female, it can prevent them from becoming egg bound. And believe it or not, snakes can get metabolic bone disease too. UVB helps synthesize the D3 and calcium within their diet, and it can also make their colors pop more over time. So go for a 7% shade dweller unit, and you can use the brackets that it comes with to fit this inside of the enclosure, or you can just place it over your mesh screen. Next, to measure your temperatures and your humidity, you're going to want a pack of hygrometers and thermometers. ProRep recently sent me these ones to try out, and they are very similar to the ones that I already use. You're going to want 2 thermometers, one on the cool end, one on the warm end, so you can make sure that your cool end isn't too hot or your hot end isn't too cold. These ones are just thermometers, and then this one here, the bigger one, is a humidity gauge and a temperature gauge. It's crucial that you go for a digital thermometer rather than analog. Analog thermometers and hygrometers are known for being super inaccurate. So first of all, they don't even work, but also you don't want anything sticky within the enclosure. This can really injure your reptile. So go for digital ones. Next, you're going to want to buy a heat gun. I don't know where mine has gone. I've just been looking for it, but a heat gun is a little bit different from a thermometer. So the thermometers are going to tell you the ambient temperature, and then your heat gun is going to tell you the surface temperature. So when you shine it on something, it'll tell you just how hot it is, and that's a really good way to measure their basking zone. Next, you're going to need substrate. I don't really recommend going for aspen or lignocell or anything like that. We have better alternatives now that are a lot more natural and replicate the wild a lot better. My recommendation is also a lot cheaper. So I recommend going for topsoil and play sand. You can get these from Wix. The topsoil only costs £3 for the bag, and you may not even need a full bag just to do one 4x2x2 enclosure. So it will last you. Make sure your topsoil is organic and that it doesn't have any fertilizers in it or anything like that, as this could make your reptile sick. If you're from America, the Westlands topsoil is safe. Now for the exciting part, which is stuff within the enclosure. I love decorating an enclosure. The most important thing in a snake enclosure to make them feel nice and comfortable are their hides. You're going to want to buy 3 hides: a warm hide, a humid hide, and a cool hide. Half-log hides don't work as proper hides because the snake needs to be able to press up against all sides to feel safe. So a half-log hide is fine as a supplementary hide, but not as a proper one. The easy clean hides are brilliant and cheap and dark. Snakes love them. For inside of your humid hide, you're also going to need moss, or some people like to use paper towels, but I like moss because it lasts a lot longer. I don't have to change it out as often. And underneath your warm hide, you're going to want to get a piece of slate. Remember how I was talking about heat guns and how you can check the temperature of things? Well, you're going to use your heat gun to check the temperature of this basking slate. My snakes love their basking slate, so this is definitely a must. Next, you have all of your clutter. You're going to make it nice and pretty. You want the enclosure to be just full of stuff, okay? This can be fake plants, cork bark, branches to give them climbing opportunities. You can even make custom backgrounds with ledges or sticks coming out to enrich them even more. You can spend as little or as much as you want on clutter. You can do it cheap by making your own sort of stuff, or if you go to reptile expos, the equipment is definitely a lot cheaper than if you were to buy it from your standard reptile shop or a chain pet shop. And last but not least, of the standard things that you think about is obviously the water bowl. They need to drink water. You want it to be large enough for them to soak in. Let's get onto the stuff that you might not think of, or stuff that you might forget. Starting with something that's inside of the water bowl, and that is water conditioner. I like to use the ReptiSafe one, as it also has added electrolytes and calcium in it, so it gives them an extra boost. You really need water conditioner because it makes the water safe to drink, but it does depend where you come from. If you've got a well or something like that, you might not need it. Next, we have timers. Not many people think about timers, so I have smart timers, and I can actually control my reptile enclosures through my phone. So I just got these off Amazon. The app is called Smart Life, and with a single click, I can turn them all off, except for her plant light. And back on again. It's also crucial that you have a 12-hour on, 12-hour off cycle for your reptiles. You don't want it to be light and bright all the time, and they do benefit from a temperature drop. Another thing you might not think of, extension leads. You're going to need 2 to 3 plugs per enclosure, and if your house is anything like mine and you just have one singular plug on the wall, then definitely get yourself a extension lead. Next, we have the best invention ever made, which is spray pumps. This here is my favorite piece of equipment. I use this multiple times a day. I got mine from Amazon and I think it was like £10-15, but you can spray the enclosures with it, fill the water bowl with it. It's great, super handy. You'll also need something to feed your snake with. Please don't be using your hands, okay? That is the best way to get bitten. So get yourself some feeding tongs. You'll want the rubber tip tongs especially, because if they do bite the tongs, then they won't break their teeth on the metal. These were from Living Art ball pythons and they are super cool. I love the cheetah print, but any rubber tip tongs will do. You will also need a snake hook. This is from the same place, and the hook of this is actually rubber tipped as well, which means that it doesn't feel super cold when it touches the snake's body. It stops them from freaking out. Every time that hook touches them, they'll know that it's time to come out, and they'll generally calm down a lot over time. So yeah, get yourself a snake hook. Next is all your cleaning equipment. So up first we have Safe 4. This is my disinfectant cleaner. I use this for the glass just to clean the outside or inside. I use this for water bowls or just general enclosure cleaning. Safe 4 did send me their products, so obviously I am going to recommend them, but I do truly love Safe 4's stuff. And they are DEFRA approved, which means that they're used in zoos. You can also get yourself some plastic-free disinfectant wipes. These are really handy if you just want to do a quick clean of something like wiping the glass or wiping something off the floor. And I also recommend that you get yourself a hand sanitizer. Again, this is Safe 4, but snake's poop does contain salmonella. I have never, in my 7-8 years of reptile keeping, I've never gotten sick from my animals, but get yourself some hand sanitizer just in case. The next thing you'll need when it comes to feeding is some Ziploc bags and also a mouse mug. When you warm up the head of the mouse, you're most likely going to put the boiling water in a mug. So get a mouse mug. You don't want to be drinking out of that. And the Ziploc bags are to put the mouse in when they're defrosting. Next is a travel container for the exciting day when you bring them home or for future vet visits. I have so many travel containers. It is insane. You should see my garage. It's full of them, okay? You will accumulate these over the years when you get more reptiles, but they are so handy and I will never get rid of them because what if I need them at some point? And speaking of vet visits, one way to prevent them is weighing your animals. So you might want to get yourself a set of scales, but scales are really important, especially for baby snakes, just to monitor growth, make sure that they're putting on weight. And last but not least, I don't have one anymore because I was borrowing it from someone, but a solar meter. These things are so expensive, but they will save you money. You really do not need a solar meter, but if you have a lot of animals, it's worth investing in one. These basically read the UVB levels that your bulb is producing, so it will help you decide whether or not it's time to replace them, because UVB does need replacing every 12 months-ish, but they can last up to 2 years in some cases, but you wouldn't know that unless you have a solar meter. So this is one of those things that if you invest in it, it's good for the long run and it will save you money over the snake's whole lifespan rather than right now. So that is everything for today, guys. Those are all of the equipment that I recommend getting for a corn snake. If there's anything that I have missed, and I have been racking my brain, hopefully I haven't forgotten anything, please comment it down below. And also make sure you share your snake's name. Whether you already have a corn snake or you're getting one, comment their names down below. I cannot wait to hear them. I love hearing people's snakes' names. So yeah, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and I will see you all later. Bye bye.